So I'd like to take this opportunity to extend a warm welcome to you all on this call this morning. You are very, very much welcome to SCCA Africa Revision Series for March 2022 exams. Welcome back those that managed to join me in the first round of revision last weekend on Saturday. And today we are going to go into our round 2, the second and final part of our revision. So we hope that you're going to have a good time, just like we did last week. We had a good time, went through a number of examinable areas. So we hope that this morning too, we're going to enjoy ourselves for the rest of this day. A few more are still joining in. But we're going to get started. So like we did last week, this recording will be made available to you. Of course, if you see it on the YouTube, so I'll give you the link and you can log into there so that you can manage to revise or review some of the things that we shall be talking about. Okay, let's take off now. So just a recap. In our meeting last week, we broke down the syllabus and we saw some of the components of our syllabus. We spoke about those components of our syllabus. That is what we did. Okay, we're getting some feedback. There's no feedback now. So we looked at a number of areas of our syllabus. But if you remember, what we did was to rearrange our syllabus and classify areas D and E as financial and non-financial performance. So if you, the model that we took was to actually look at area D and E of the syllabus and combine them. So we combine these and we say that the best and easiest way is to consider these as simply financial and non-financial. That is what we did. So by the time we concluded our session, we had indeed dismantled the financial and also non-financial aspects of performance for this course. And we said, by and large, this is really a large area of our syllabus. If you look at our syllabus in terms of financial and non-financial aspects that are brought out in areas D and E, it becomes much easier for us to prepare for the exam. It becomes a lot easier for us to prepare for the exam. We're also able to make a reference to specific syllabus areas on our program as we went through, and also shared some of the core questions that are expected. What of in this session, what are we going to do? Well, in this session, we want to zero in on 2 other areas of the syllabus. 2 other areas of this syllabus. Those are the ones that we want to zero in this morning. Areas A and areas B. Okay. So this tutor profile, of course, was the one I shared last week. same one, okay? And my contact details are all there. The email address that I use, and also the phone number that I use. So in case you want to get in touch with me later for additional support and all that, that slide gives you what you need. And this is our breakdown of the program for today that is going to guide us as we go through our areas. Some students last week had specifically asked for me to handle transfer pricing, and I promised that I'll handle it separately. I'll be doing that today. So transfer pricing is one area that I would want to handle separately for the students. The other area that I want to talk about also is risk and uncertainty, which is really part of what we shall be looking at. So this is the lineup of area A of our syllabus, strategic planning and control. So this is the lineup. This is the breakdown. So like we said last week, that in preparing for this exam, we must stick as closely as possible to the syllabus because of the nature of the course itself. Because the nature of the course is very important that we understand the components of the program or the syllabus and be focused. And that's exactly what you want to do this morning, later on afternoon. Now, if you remember in this area A, we did pull out this section and we dealt with it in our last revision block. The concept of performance hierarchy, we spoke at length because we say that as you introduce the course, as you set up, you need to start up with the concept of performance hierarchy. And the number of you may remember our specific emphasis on the mission statement, that really the mission statement is the starting point in this hierarchy of objectives. And everything else that happens in the organization should be linked to the mission statement. The mission statement should be cascaded down into our operational activities. That is what we spoke of, we emphasized. So for now, we'll say performance hierarchy, which is a system of objectives. This was dealt with in our last block. So we take it out of this list. So then we come back then to this list. So we come back to this list now. So what are the items that we want to deal with here on this list? Okay. There are items which are covered here in strategic management accounting, and these are the models, the examining models. Then we've got the concept of performance management and control, and you notice that this area really is about your budgeting. Then we've got the issue of our business structures, organization structures. So we talk about organization structures. Then from there, we'll move on to the issue of what is happening in the environment. What are the issues to do with the environment in which we operate? So these are the items that you want to zero in on. So let's go straight away into these items. This is a cut and paste. This is a cut and paste on your syllabus. So cut and pasted this item. In an exam forecast manner, in area A of your syllabus, there are models which the examiner wants us to deal with. These are strategic planning and control models. The emphasis is how to use these models in performance management. So we've got the SWOT analysis. We've got the PACE analysis. We've got the BCG matrix. Okay. In our model, the balance scorecard, we spoke about it outside this. We covered the balance scorecard in our last lecture, as part of non-financial performance indicators in the private sector. And this is how you clean up this syllabus. So in terms of the coverage of this particular model, we covered it, we grouped it together with other models that are used to bring in non-financial perspective into performance. Then there's the Porter's generic strategies and the 5 forces. And a comment from the syllabus is evaluate. Yes, we may have known these models, we may have covered them in our strategic business studies, didn't we? But there's a specific requirement in performance management, and that it is evaluate how these models may assist in the performance management process. So that is your emphasis. The emphasis as we go to the exam is we must ask ourselves, am I able to explain how a SWOT can help in performance management? Am I able to help to explain clearly how the BCG matrix helps with performance management? What are the generic strategies? What are Porter's 5 forces? So you may have covered these in your strategic business studies or business strategies or strategic management. But here we are saying, just tell us one thing. How do these models help a company in managing performance? Full stop. Okay. So these are the models that we want to talk about. So let's talk about these models, friends. Let's talk about these models. I know you all know something about these models, but let's talk about them, especially with the emphasis on how we use them in managing performance. That's our emphasis. And our emphasis is how do you use these in managing performance? And that's exactly what I want us to do now. Okay, so here we are. Some people had asked for this pass card. I did share it. I did share a copy of it last time, and I got a confirmation that yes, it was received. So this is SWOT analysis in strategic management. In strategic management, when we are doing a strategic analysis, when we're doing strategic analysis in terms of internal and external environmental analysis, we do use a SWOT analysis. Even in organizations, we use SWOT analysis. It's a very powerful tool in strategic management. But the emphasis here is how does the identification of strengths, how does the identification of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and the traits, how does this help us with performance management? Remember, last week we did cover that the idea behind performance management is to help organizations improve their performance. Is to help organizations improve performance. That's the whole idea. So we are experts in skills that can help organizations improve their performance. We are experts in helping organizations meet their goals and objectives. So the question is, the identification of strengths and weaknesses, which are internal, opportunities and traits, how can it help? How can it help? Let's address that. we can convert the weaknesses into the strengths. What is the impact of converting a weakness into a strength? Improve performance. Won't you agree with me? I normally give my students an example which probably some of you can relate to. We've got some fast food chain restaurants that do deliver food. One of them in our environment is the Bonias. You can make your order online or via the phone and they deliver. I normally ask my students a question. So imagine you do a quick survey to get a response, and the response is that there's always delay in delivery. After ordering, it takes so long for you to get your pizza. Sometimes children would even have gone to bed when it arrives. That is a serious weakness, isn't it? Now think for a moment. So management focuses on that particular weakness. They can convert it into a strength, meaning that if they now deliver on time as soon as possible within people's reasonable expectation, what will happen? The answer is very straightforward, isn't it? What will happen is that that weakness will now become a strength. And if it does become a strength, it will help you improve, generate more revenues, you have happy customers and all that. If you have got strengths, what should you do with them? So as a performance consultant, your point is, we must use these strengths to exploit the opportunities. The strength is of no use if we cannot use it to exploit the opportunities that are available in the environment. So in terms of performance, this is another way in which you can improve performance. If there's any threat, why don't you convert that into an opportunity? Why don't you convert that into an opportunity? Around here, we had a situation. We had a situation involving the meat industry. So there's this large supplier of the meat products. In no time, they identified that within the number of localities, there was somebody opening up outlets, another company opening outlets, and that was going